Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Abil Qasim Muhammad wa ala alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin alladhina adhhaba Allahu anhum ar-rijsa wa tahharahum tathira. Sallallahu Muhammad. Our discussion about the seerah of the Prophet continues, and we talked about the universality of our Prophet, his message in his seerah, being the founding stone of whatever comes in terms of goodness and virtue, in terms of faith and belief, in terms of excellence of humanity. The Prophet is the fountainhead of all Islamic currents. His word and his life are a court of perpetual appeal on the part of his followers throughout. The Prophet's life engages us, and the universality of his message resonates at all times and all places, and all dimensions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has referred to his Prophet as وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. This verse was quoted last time also. Surah Anbiya, 21st Surah of Quran, verse number 107. When we say he is the mercy, and when Allah says he is the mercy, is there a distinction? We say Rahman. Such and such person is merciful. Means he is caring, he is loving, he is giving. His behavior is beautiful, and so on and so forth. Everyone's mercy is for the time period that he or she is present. My grandparents, they showed mercy. Is there mercy today? They're gone. He is one person in the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whose mercy is everlasting. Not for one day, not for one event, not for one location, not for one place, not for one generation, not for one nation, not for one people. His mercy is universal. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Not on this planet only, but wherever existence is, universes where they are, wherever they are, his mercy is present. The word mercy itself comes in Quran many times, probably more than 70 times. And even though the general context may seem to be different, but the basis of all mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the personality of the Prophet. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about his mercy, the reflection of that mercy is him, the Prophet. Allahu Akbar. If Quran says, وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ مَا زَكَى مِنْكُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ أَبَدًا. Surah Nur, 24th Surah of Quran, verse number 21. Had it not been the benevolence, Fadl, alaykum, Fadl Allah alaykum, wa rahmatuhu, and his mercy, ma zaka minkum min ahadin abada. None of you would have been able to be pious. So benevolence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the mercy, and that mercy is the Prophet. If you ponder on this verse, for example, okay, Allah's benevolence is He gave you your existence, your life, okay, the faculties that are present in yourself of reasoning, of thoughtfulness, of desire to pick up what is better versus what is bad, okay, and so on and so forth. That's on the intellectual level. Okay. On the physical level, all your senses of sight, touch, hearing, all of them are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His benevolence. Okay. He has given the means to lead your life in the best way possible. That is a fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa rahmatuhu, and His mercy. Okay. Now comes the part, ma zakam. None of you would be able to achieve piety, goodness, or virtue without that mercy. Benevolence and mercy. Okay? So suppose the Prophet would not have come. Would anyone be able to fathom the truth to the level that is needed for obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or truth to the level that's needed to lead a life that would be based on the ordains of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. The example of perfection is the Prophet. And that perfection is needed. Okay. To achieve goodness and virtue. So His mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy to humanity. Okay. That's one aspect of His universalism. Okay. There's another aspect is the potency of His message. Okay. His message is not limited to time and space. His message is not limited to area and tribe. His message is not limited to a generation of people. It could not be universal if it was limited. Anything that's limited can't be universal. In itself, universality leads you to a message that is for all times, for all places, and all people. Let's take a few examples. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed in Quran that this book, the Quran, has been revealed, Surah Asra, 17th Surah of Quran, Verse number 82. وينزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين. Quran has been revealed as a cure and as mercy for mu'mineen. That's Surah Yunus also. والشفاء لما في الصدور هدى ورحمة للمؤمنين. Surah Yunus is 10th Surah of Quran, verse number 37. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Quran as a cure and as mercy for mu'mineen. And sometimes he talks about Quran as a mercy, as a guidance for muhsineen. Surah Luqman, the first few verses. Sometimes it says, for muttaqeen, alif lam mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Surah Baqarah. So Quran has been presented to us as a book of guidance and mercy for who? Mu'mineen, muhsineen, and muttaqeen. Nowhere in Quran it says it is for alameen. هدى للمتقين, هدى للمحسنين. There is alameen. Yeah. When it talks about the Prophet, when it says, okay, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, okay, it does not say that it's restricted to one segment of the population. Okay. Wa alaikum assalam. One segment of the population, okay. Those who are pious ones, for example. Those who are believing ones, for example. Okay. It talks about, okay. So Quran is Huda lil Muttaqeen, of course. Lil Muhsineen, of course. Lil Mu'mineen, of course. Yes. Well, he is Rabbul Alameen. Okay. And his Rahmah, because he is originator of mercy, of course. Okay. And his mercy is reflected through the Prophet. As he is the Rabb universally, the Prophet is mercy universally. Okay. Of course, Quran also says that for humanity he is enough. He suffices humanity. Okay. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا كَافَّةً لِلنَّاسِ. Okay. Surah Sabah, 34th Surah of Quran, verse number 28. Okay. We haven't sent you but to suffice humanity. Okay. Once again, Quran does not say about itself that is enough. Okay. So if Quran is to be seen in practice, where the intent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes fully visible, it is in the personality of the Prophet ﷺ. Quran is the book of ultimate guidance, no doubt about it. Okay? It's the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completed in Quran, yes. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. Okay? That passage is complete. Okay? But that completion of the message, that perfection of the message is reflected in the personality of the Prophet ﷺ. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا كَافَّةً لِلنَّاسِ. We haven't sent you but to suffice humanity. Okay. That's Surah Sabah. 34th Surah of Quran, verse 28. Surah Sabah is 34th Surah of Quran. Okay. And the earlier verse, of course, is very common. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Surah Anbiya, 21st Surah of Quran, verse number 107. In Surah Fatah, 48th Surah of Quran, verse number 8. إِنَّا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ شَاهِدًا وَمُبَشِّرًا وَنَذِيرًا. Okay. In other place, إِنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا شَاهِدًا وَمُبَشِّرًا وَنَذِيرًا وَدَاعِيًا إِلَى اللَّهِ بِإِذْنِهِ وَسِرَاجًا مُنِيرًا. Okay. Different places here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants people to accept faith. لِتُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ. Then this Surah Fatah, the next verse, the verse number 9. لِتُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَتُعَزِّرُوهُ وَتُوَقِّرُوهُ وَتُسَبِّحُوهُ. Okay. Now, these three words are used. Okay. Of course, you know, تُؤْمِنُوا is to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَتُعَزِّرُوهُ وَتُوَقِّرُوهُ وَتُسَبِّحُوهُ. Different translators have tried to give different meanings to these words. Okay. وَتُعَزِّرُوهُ, to help, to assist him. Okay. Remember, it says, تُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet. Okay. وَتُعَزِّرُوهُ, and help. Can you help Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Of course. He is Ghani al-Mutlaq. Okay. Quran says. Tu'azziruhu. Now that ha that is there of Ishara is towards the Prophet. Tu'azziruhu wa tuwakkiruhu. Tuwakkiruhu is honor. Okay. Yeah. Much more than honor, but yes, honor conveys a meaning. Yeah. Elation. Elation. Yeah. Surah Fatah, 48 Surah of Quran, verse number 8 and 9. This is 9. Yeah. The earlier verse was in Arsalnaka Shahidam Mubashiram Manadira. Litu'minu billahi wa rasulihi. La there, shows the connection to the earlier verse. So that. La ilaha fi Quraishin. That la is connection. In Arabic, la is connection. Alam tara kayfa support Rasulullah. Allah does not need your support. وَتُوَقِّرُوهُ, and elevate his status. Okay. وَتُسَبِّحُوهُ, that's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes. You don't need to support Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No, but in some translations,
That's what I said earlier, that people have misunderstood it.
it's really confusing.
In Quran, we find places where adjectives are used, for example, their pronouns are used, for example, and their verbs are used, for example. Okay? Unless you go to the exact intent of Quran, okay, you would not be able to translate them. Okay? And that intent comes through your understanding of ideology itself. Okay? Yeah. Allah does not need support at all. Even of the Prophet. He does not even need the support of the Prophet. Okay? Absolutely, completely, and totally. Okay? Hmm? No. Yes. He doesn't need. Okay? So, that first word is for the Prophet. Okay? Tuakiruhu. You are in the presence of someone and you bow down to him in respect and regard and you elevate him and things like that. Can anyone elevate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
I mean, you need to, because he's already answered.
Yeah, but here is the word that tells you to do it.
Do I have control over it? No, I cannot.
No, you are told to do it. It's Amr, the Siga of Amr. How do you do it? No, you can't. Yes.
My translation, thankfully, for once is really clear. And I just Googled it. If I didn't use Al-Islam, but I used Quran.com. Usually their translations are really, shady. But this one, they have actually said it properly. That's why I'm not feeling the confusion. You know what I mean? And it depends on the translation.
There are scores of translations available in English. Okay? And, rarely true justification comes in those translations. Okay? Unfortunately, okay? Yeah, that's what it is. No, help, in this case, help, for example, the battlefield, okay? In propagating the language of Quran, okay? In propagating the traditions. There are many aspects, okay? That rahmah does not mean that the Prophet would not be aided in terms of battle, for example. Allah's Prophet does not need anyone to fight the battle. He will say, everything is gone. But no, on the physical level, yes.
Here, the word they use is support. So it's a better word. It's not the best word.
Yeah.
But they use, instead of help, in
Yeah.
this translation, they say support.
Yeah. So that is, the context is that on the human level, okay, the support is needed for his message. For example, in his earlier days in Mecca, he had the support of his wife, Sayyidah Khadija Salamu Alaiha, and his uncle Abu Talib. And without his support, things would have been very difficult for him. And that's why when that support was gone, he left Mecca. Even though he had companions in Mecca, of course, the companions were present, but no one was strong enough to support him in the physical world that we are talking about. We're not talking about the spiritual world. Okay? In the physical world that we are talking about. Okay? There was no one there.
Maybe it could also mean that you need to give bay'ah to him. Because this is the story in Surah Fat, right? Where they were asked to give the bay'ah to him under that tree, right?
Bay'ah is something, yubayun, the word is used there, okay, is when you make a pledge of allegiance, okay, allegiance to the Prophet, okay. That is the primary requirement of all believers, that you make that bay'ah, okay. As a matter of fact, when you recite dua ahad in the morning, what do you recite there? The bay'ah. Every day. Okay? La ahulu it's never taken off from me. Okay? So that bear is, selling yourself. That's the correct word. Okay?
So would that be in some way the support?
No, support is universal, anything. Anything. There are those who say that Abu Talib was not a Muslim. For example, I firmly believe that he was, okay? But there are those who say that he was not, for example. Okay? Yet his support was there. Okay? So,
And to honor, honor him would also be to respect him, and whatever he's saying, you should listen to him.
that is ta'ah. Whatever you say, okay. Wakar, it's from Wakar, okay? Wakara. Okay? Wakara is the respect and regard. Okay? To obey is ita. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that many times in Quran. Okay? Atiullah wa atiur Rasul. Okay? Follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow His Prophet. Okay? Probably more than 20 times. Okay? So the word ita is different. This is in addition to ita. Ita could be, I tell you that this is the book. Okay? Keep it till afternoon, for example. And you obey it. Okay? That's ita. Was your heart with it when you obeyed?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Ita is still there.
But you still obey. Like
You still obey. Yeah.
Like duty to Allah,
Yeah.
duty to parents.
Yeah. You obeyed it, even though your heart was not there. Even Munafiqin obeyed the Prophet in some aspects. Isn't it? So obedience is different. Tawakkiru is regarding, respecting, and honoring. Okay. You have to be that. Okay. And that is to be done not only when the Prophet is present. Okay. This verse is universal. Inna arsalnaka shahidan wa mubashiran wa nadhira litu'minu, so that you masses, okay, tu'minu billahi, you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa rasulihi, and His Prophet. Okay. Wa tu'azziru, wa tu'akkiru, wa tusabbihu, bukratan wa asila. Okay. Day and night. Okay. Tasbih is of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. So same ishara, ism al-ishara, okay, is used for the Prophet and for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That ha that you are using. Sabbihuhu, like, yeah, tu'azziruhu, okay, that ha at the end, ishara, okay, wa tu'akkiruhu, okay, wa tusabbihuhu, okay, that ho is common with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet both. In Surah Araf, the 7th Surah of Quran, verse number 157. فالذين آمنوا به وَعَذَّرُوهُ وَنَصَرُوهُ. Here the word nusra is clear. For those where tu'azziru may have been, difficult. Here the word is clear. فَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِهِ وَعَذَّرُوهُ وَنَصَرُوهُ وَاتَّبَعُوا النُّورَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ مَعَهُ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And they followed the light that was revealed with him. Mahu. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has talked about Quran many times. Okay. But never has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about Quran as Anzala Mahu. Always Anzal alayk, on you. or revealed to you. Okay? Not with you. Here the word is ma'hu, with you. So there is a nur that's coming down with him. Okay? Ponder on that. Quran was revealed to him. Okay? There's something else that came with him. وَاتَّبَعُوا النُّورَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ مَعَهُ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made a distinction. Okay? Something that was revealed to him and something that has come with him. As far as ita is concerned, that word that is used earlier, okay, in Surah Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Surah Hujurat is 49th Surah of Quran, verse number 15. إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله. Believers are only those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet. It doesn't say anything else here. Only Allah and His Prophet. But His Prophet encompasses everything. Okay? Okay? Okay. So he is the representation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on everything on which faith is based. إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله. Okay. Surah Hujurat, 49th Surah, verse 15. Yeah. Now coming to that ita that we were talking earlier. Okay. Surah Anfal, 8th Surah of Quran. وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. And obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet if you are a believer. There's a beautiful verse in Surah Nisa. Surah Nisa is the 4th Surah of Quran. The verse is 59. Allahu Akbar. Beautiful verse. The whole Quran is beautiful, of course. But that verse, okay, that people present for ulil amr. Okay. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu atiullah wa atiur rasul wa ulil amr minkum. Ulil amr minkum. Okay. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu atiullah wa atiur rasul wa ulil amr minkum. Okay. This verse is presented so many times now. You know the context. The verse doesn't end there. فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ إِن كُنتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. Okay. If you differ in anything, then refer to Allah and His Prophet, not to the ulil amr. Many times the first part of this verse is presented, the second part is not presented. فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ, in anything, فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ, revert back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet. إِن كُنتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, if you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Day of Judgment. Once again, when we say فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ, how do you revert to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Only the Prophet, through the Prophet. But referring to the Prophet only would have laid a question mark. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put his own mention there. Okay? That when you are referring to the Prophet, you are referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ذَلِكَ خَيْرًا وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا, of course. Okay? At the same time, those who follow the Prophet, okay, have also been told that don't step ahead of the Prophet. Surah Hujurat, 49th Surah, the first verse. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasulihi. Don't go ahead of the Prophet, okay, of course, of the Prophet and Allah. How do you go ahead of Allah? Once again, the intent is the Prophet. So throughout Quran, if you look at and just not go by the worldly translation, okay, you'll see the intent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to make sure that the humanity knows, okay, that the sole representation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the personality of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Wherever the word Atiullah wa Rasuluhu is, of course, is the following of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he has also said in Surah Tawbah, 9th Surah, verse number 62. وَاللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَحَقَّ أَن يُرْضُوهُ إِن كَانُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah and the Prophet has more right than anyone else. Okay? But you try to please them. The rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, and the rida of the Prophet are combined. They are together. In Surah Tawbah is the Surah number 9. Verse number 62. 62. No, it's okay. Ask me 10 times, please. I won't mind it. Okay? No. You know me for years. I know. Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. Maybe I'm unable to convey you that clearly. Okay?
That's fine, because I still heard you.
Surah Tawbah, the 9th Surah of Quran, verse number 62. Okay. And then those who oppose the Prophet. إن الذين يحادون الله ورسوله أولئك في الأذلين. Surah Mujadala, 58th Surah of Quran, verse number 20. Once again, who is going to go oppose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there? It's again the Prophet. Surah Ahzab, the 33rd Surah of Quran, verse number 57. إن الذين يؤذون الله ورسوله لعنهم الله في الدنيا والآخرة. Those who give pain to the Prophet, I think pain is the correct translation. وَرَسُولُهُ, Allah and His Prophet. يُؤْذُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولُهُ. لَعَنَهُ اللَّهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. They are cursed in this world and the hereafter. Okay? لَعَنَهُ اللَّهُ فِي الدُّنْيا وَالْآخِرَةِ. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُؤْذُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. Again, how do you inflict pain on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Astaghfirullah. How? Yes, by hurting Rasulullah. Okay. And Allah is not physical. When He is not physical, then emotions like pain and pleasure don't resonate there. But the status of Prophet is such, okay, that pain given to the Prophet is the pain given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the pleasure given to the Prophet is the pleasure given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Anfal, 8th Surah of Quran. Verse number 24. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu istajibu lillahi walirrasul idha da'akum lima yuhyikum. Okay. Oh believers, Allah. Istajab, to say labbaik, for example. Yes, I do. To answer yes, and profoundly so. Lillahi wa Rasul. Once again, lillah, how do you know? Okay. Lil Rasul, idha da'akum, when they call you. Lima yuhyikum, so that they give you life. Allahu Akbar. Allah is speaking to those who are alive. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. He is speaking to human beings who are alive, mu'mineen. Okay. So when the Prophet calls you, respond instantly, profoundly, without ifs and buts, okay? Without this and that. Okay? Lima yuhyikum, so that they give you life. That life is a life of spirit. That life is life of excellence and virtue. That life is closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That life is acceptance by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mm-hmm.
Because they do Umrah, they go to Ziyarah, they do everything, but they follow this, which is the superficial way. I mean, when I say this, doesn't mean that they are istijab, they're not doing istijab, but probably they're giving Rasulullah the honor, or Aima alayhi salam the honor, because they are believing that this was the case when the people were, when Rasulullah salam was alive. And now that he's not there, then he cannot intercede for us. So I know that we have discussed this again, but this question came up to me again. And I did feel like, although I gave them all the verses that we're discussing, I did feel a good to kind of like have this conversation. So I'm wondering if there are different verses that, like I know, like, in Najm, and then there are places where we say that the people who are martyred are not dead, they are still alive, all of these verses, but I don't know, how would you explain it? I'm not going to do it now. I'm just saying because this came up, a thought came to my mind.
The first fundamental question is, are the verses of Quran perpetual for all times, or they were recited only that time? There are times. Okay. So when Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, does it refer to only those mu'mineen who are there, or it refers to mu'mineen of today?
Mu'min of today, that the position of Rasulullah sallallahu is changing because now he's not living amongst us. That's the issue.
Did you recite kalma? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. Not that he was there, he is. In every prayer, in tashahhud you say, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. In every other one, in every iqamah.
It was hard to explain because this is where I draw the line. I don't know what to say, so maybe,
Yeah.
it's almost sort of like a virus that's spreading slowly, and the concept of tawasul, as we thought was diminishing before, but the people were loud. Now it is coming to our youth in a very backdoor way, and it's concerning. Even some of the speakers, they don't make it known why they travel to these holy places, but if you have a one-to-one conversation with them, and then they tell you that, oh, we respect these entities, that's why. But we don't think that they can intercede for us, and I have a big issue with that. So I'm just equipping myself to, understand how to, argue the point.
Three things have occurred in our younger generation that have resulted in this. One, our discussions primarily in our Saturday schools are on fiqh, ibadat, and akhlaq. Okay. They are not on aqaid. For aqaid, you have sifat sabutiya, sifat salbiya, okay, and that's about it. Okay. Even though these were actually, they came from mutakallimins, okay, not from masumin, okay, but they are there. Okay. We have tried to talk about his sifat here in this session much earlier, and we picked up a few sifat of his. Okay. His sifat, for example, of mercy was picked up here. Okay. We talked about his being Khaliq, creator, the attribute by which we exist is being discussed? No. Okay. And so many things. So ideology became secondary, okay, and ibadat and fiqh became primary. Important, of course, they are important. Yeah. Then we started teaching them how to recite Quran, for example, and how to recite du'as, for example. Our children recite best du'as, There's perfect Arabic and all that. The intent of dua, philosophy behind it, okay, and what it means when you say things. For example, dua tawassul. Okay. That dua is there, isn't it? And our children recite it. Yes, and they memorize it. To all those who have been deceased of Imam alayhi Islam and the Prophet, we keep on saying, Ya wajihan indallah, ishfa lana indallah. It's not tawassul? Okay. So, we have not emphasized what it means when we say, Ya wajihan indallah. That shafa that we are seeking, ishfa lana indallah, okay, it comes to only selected personalities. Because Quran says clearly, Man zalladhi yashfa indahu illa bi'iznih. That izn is not universal. Okay? That izn is only of a few selected personalities. Okay? And that's why we make tawassul. So, I mean to say that we have emphasized on du'as, their recitation and their memorization, without going at the intent of the dua or understanding of the dua. I think if one verse of Quran is understood fully with its intent, and its effect on humanity. It will be much better than reciting 10 of them. Mhm. Mhm. You see, when you talk about Quran, okay, the reflection of Quranic message should come through the lens of the Prophet ﷺ, okay, not through what I say or you say. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Quran itself says that people are misguided. Okay? Okay? But when it talks about the Prophet, Quran says clearly, "Ma ataakum rasul fakhuzuhu, kama nahakum anhu fantahu." What the Prophet gives, take it, and what the Prophet stops you from, stop from it. Okay, that power given to the Prophet, okay, is a reflection of the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Because he is the man who does not utter a word. Ma yantiqu anil hawa. Okay. He doesn't utter a word. Okay. So there is no other human being in existence, including all other prophets, okay, who is of such elevated status. Other prophets have delivered the message, of course, but their own lives too. Okay? Prophet Ibrahim disputes the angels when they're going to Lut. When the angels tell them, okay, that they're going to have chastisement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there, oh, there is Lut in there, how would you do that? He argues with them. Prophet Noah with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about his son. Many examples in Quran. Do you think these were words of Wahi? No. They are their own words. It's only Muhammad alayhi salam whose every utterance is the Wahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This third problem is that in our communities, we have not talked about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam at all. Okay? So the one who is the root has been let go. I don't know. Inshallah, as we progress in the personality of the Prophet, we'll talk about other issues also. Okay. I can't do justice to the topic. Okay. I'm not educated enough to do that. Okay. Whatever I have picked up, I'm just presenting it to you. Okay. And whatever has dawned, by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet, that I'm able to convey. Other than that, I don't have any expertise, okay, at all. Okay. Start for last. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 It's not, yes, that answering is obedience. That answering, because you have to obey him. Yet they don't need the help, no. Yeah. By obeying them completely, you are benefiting yourself because you are elevating yourself spiritually, okay, in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So either the answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or Rasulullah is correct. You benefit yourself.
Yeah. You are answering to the Prophet, it's not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as such, because, yeah, he is the conduit to, he is the presence. You know.
But the point is that by doing that, you benefit yourself.
Definitely. Throughout the message, you know, whenever you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet, okay, you are benefiting yourself. Okay. Allah does not need any benefit from you. Okay. Neither does the Prophet. Okay. Okay, inshallah. We'll continue next week. Okay.